Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today, for our midweek meta deck, we are playing ClogW's top 8 deck from the Legacy Showcase Challenge. Now, quite often we play the winning deck of tournaments, but this is a deck I've had requested an awful lot, so I thought I'd actually give it a go on the channel. This is the 4-colour Delver list. There's basically splashing green just for Questing Druid. So it's kind of Grixis Delver with Questing Druid. So we got threats. We got Channeler, we got Questing Druid, we got Bowmasters, and we got Murktide Regent. No Delver, so we probably shouldn't be calling it Delver, but old habits die hard, right? Got a bunch of cantrips, Brainstorms, Ponders, Lorien Revealed. This is a really good sorcery that you can put into the graveyard by cycling to enable things like Dragon's Rage Channeler. We have 3 Mishra's Bauble as well to help the Delirium as well. Counter spells, classic 4 Daze, classic 4 Force of Will. No Spell Pierce or anything like that, we don't have room for that. 4 Lightning Bolts, 2 Brazen Borrowers. This is our board control elements. And then we have 3 Wastelands because our mana base is a little bit stretched here. But we are base blue-red, so we have 4 Volcanic Islands, 2 Tropical Islands to cast our Questing Druid, and 2 Underground Seas. So obviously, no room for basics here. Fetch land mana base, so all of our lands get all of our lands, so to speak, which is why I like it. I do like having 4 Wastelands in my deck, but maybe we'll be fine with 3 here. I think the mana considerations is probably a bit fair here. So we have a decent amount of actual mana producing lands here. We have 8 mana producing lands, so quite a lot. As for the sideboard, it's just all the tools you'd expect really, you know, various hate pieces, whether it's for the graveyard, for artifacts, for countering spells, etc, etc. Counterbalance for the mirror and stuff like that. A bit more removal because obviously a little bit light on removal, relying on the Brazen Borrower to do some work there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really looking forward to playing this one. I do quite enjoy playing tempo decks. I'm a big fan of Rug Delver, as you probably know if you watch my channel. But I like playing a lot of different Delver variants because there's a lot of choices to make, so I find them quite interesting decks to play. And I've always been a big fan of tempo. I think I first started playing Rug Delver 13 years ago, 12 years ago, 13, something like that. So I used to play it a lot back in the day, then kind of went off it for a long time, and now I'm kind of getting back into it again. Anyway, enough from me there. Remember to like and subscribe. Let's jump into this video, and also check out the video that came out on Saturday if you'd like to be entered into a free prize draw. All right, let's jam ClogW's top 8 list from the Legacy Showcase Challenge. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Right, we're into round 1. We're on the draw. Our opening hand doesn't have access to a threat. We also don't have a fetch land to make this Brainstorm happier. But we do have a Lightning Bolt to reassure us against Brainstorm versus things like Orcish Bowmasters. Not a big fan of keeping hands without threats, but we should be able to find one by turn 2, I think, here. An Ancient Tomb. Okay, we might not be casting any 1-drops. Okay, a Chromox. There's sometimes an option of forcing this, but I think we're just going to try and hit the whatever they're playing. Boromir. Probably mono white, I would reckon here. Anointed Peacekeeper. Like we have a Lightning Bolt that can clean this up, so I think we just let this hit play. If they name Force of Will, then we Lightning Bolt this. If they name Lightning Bolt, then we can Force of Will their next play, and then just build up the mana for this. This makes it cost 2 more. So 3 mana Lightning Bolt, not great for us, but still fine. We have no fetch lands to get caught off guard here. This can Pithing Needle fetch lands effectively, which can be a real pain. Lightning Bolt, sure. So they know their next play isn't going to resolve. Dragon's Rage Channeler, love to see it. Let's play this guy. Let's get some sick value. Let's see what our opponent's got coming. A Murktide Regent. We're not really in the market for that just yet, to be honest. Put it into our graveyard to get a creature type. Let's crack this. Simian Spirit Guide. Not a very threatening thing, but that does mean that we know to that our Daze is gonna run into this potentially. So we're probably pitching the Daze to a Force of Will here, and then going to use the Brainstorm to reload a little bit here. We need to find a sorcery or a land. There's a land, so excellent. They've got another Ancient Tomb. You love to see people playing Ancient Tombs against Delver decks. Really helps us out. Here's a little bash for 3. I'll take it. So we now also know they're red, so we've got things like Caves of Chaos Adventurer to worry about. But Force of Will pretty good against this. Decided not to play anything. Sure. A Lightning Bolt. Alright. There's Polluted Delta. go for a Brainstorm here. A Daze. This can go into the graveyard. I don't think we need one of those. Another Force of Will I don't hate, but we will need another blue card if we want to do anything with that. So maybe the second Force of Will goes, or we can pitch the Daze, pitch Force to Force. Interesting. Alright, we'll pitch this, and we'll pitch a land. Actually, let's put it the other way round. Actually, no, we're definitely cracking this land anyway, aren't we? So it doesn't really matter which way around we do this. So if we crack this, this gives our guy a bit more power, a bit more junk in its trunk. I think we'll go and get the Trop here. Bash away for 3 in the sky. Our opponent has to take 4 damage to use these both these tombs, which is a lot. And they know that we can answer this in a turn. We only have 1 counter spell, but I don't think our opponent's going to be playing 2 must counter spells this turn. Yep, we'll take a little bit of damage. I might even be in a situation where we want to bolt their face at some point. Feels like they're holding up Touch the Spirit Realm here. So let's just attack here. Now if they do nothing, so they put us to 10, we put them to 9. Yeah, we are winning this race, so our opponent has to do something. We don't really need to do anything here necessarily. If we do want to kill this, we want to kill it now. This will prevent some damage in the race. It does feel like they've got Touch of the Spirit Realm, but I don't really care if they do. Mishra's Bauble. I'm going to the graveyard. Just trying to put more food in there, give us more stuff to delve away when the time comes. So they'll pay 2 life if they want to do that. I guess they can use their Spirit Guide to do the Touch the Spirit Realm here. But if they do, then they get this back, and they have a choice again between the Lightning Bolt and the Force of Will. We put them in the same bind there in a minute ago. A Solitude. They're evoking Solitude. That could be Touch of the Spirit Realm bait. So I think we are supposed to counterspell this. Because they could be just putting this in and blinking it, and that's kind of annoying for us. Although, is it that annoying? We just lose 1 guy. That's fine. I'd rather not introduce initiative into this game if we can avoid it. So we're getting some life here. Kill that Peacekeeper. No Touch of the Spirit Realm. Interesting. What is this going to be? An Archon of Emeria. Sure, I don't care about that. Underground Sea. So we could just start growing a Questing Druid here, which I don't hate as a strategy. Let's just play this guy. So Questing Druid. We're going to cast this Lightning Bolt on our opponent's turn, which can then unlock counter spells. And we can take the 2 here if they just want to turn this sideways. But we'll see. We'll see how it transpires. Alright, so they got a lot of mana here. They've been very reluctant to use it. Do we just fire this off and kill this? Just pump our guy. Kill theirs. Got some decent gas in the tank as well. We can reload with our Questing Druid, which is kind of an interesting one, because if we do it now, we might not get to use the cards as effectively as we want, but we do get guaranteed damage here. So I think we are going to seek the beast, and I think we're probably going to use the green mana here. Just get our boy pumping. So we know one of our opponent's cards is a Simian Spirit Guide here, so we're not in the most fearful of territory. Okay, so we could seek the beast again if we want to. Is that right? Yeah, this is the one that we can cast Seek the Beast with. We could just bounce their Chrome Mox and take them off a colour. That's pretty good too. Sure, let's jam them up with this. So we have so many options here of what to do. So we're going to lose 1 Questing Druid here, but again, we've got the one that we sought the beast with, and we're going to have the Brazen Borrower as well. And we've got Daze plus Force of Will available. And we've just got rid of their Chrome Mox. So the Daze is probably not that great, but we could force a tap of an Ancient Tomb, which might cause them to die because they're only on 6. Don't see Boromir all that often in these decks. Okay, so Chrome Mox, this is going to imprint the Simian Spirit Guide, I believe. There it is. Alright, we can close that window now. What have you got for us? Just casting a Simian Spirit Guide. By all means. That's fine by me. Wouldn't mind a land here. That's not a land, but it's a pretty good spell, isn't it? Right, let's cast our other Seek the Beast first. Questing Druid. It's not Seek the Beast anymore. Let's get this little friend. And let's Big Daddy Mercs. So what have we got in the bin here? Bunch of instants. We can take out 3 of those. I don't think we need our creature to be that big. It's already going to be 6/6 anyway. So we can take out one of the artifacts. And what we're most likely to be able to put into our graveyard. It probably is just another instant at this point, isn't it? So yeah, we'll take the Daze. It's going to pump both of our lads. They're going to have to chump block here, and then we're going to kill them next turn, hopefully. Like, we are incredibly far ahead here. It would take a miracle to lose this game, I think. Well, our opponent agrees. So, initiative. How do we want to combat initiative? We're probably going to need this Dismember. As ugly as it is, sometimes paying 4 life, we can't let them have all their scary things. Other than that, Hydroblast is a good counterspell for some of their red spells. We need to keep forces in. Dazes aren't very exciting to me on the play, on the draw. But what are we going to have instead? We can clear up some stuff with a Meltdown, so it's not the worst. Counterbalance, we don't have any 4-drops, and the scariest thing in their deck is 4, so I don't think we want Counterbalance. We can play Force of Negations for some of their, if they're running Blood Moons, or we can just hit their mana out from underneath them. I think I prefer that to running Daze, to be honest. And we'll rock like this. So you can stop our opponent from having like a really broken turn 1 with those Force of Negations. We have a Force of Will. We have a Dragon's Rage Channeler. These are the things we want in the matchup. Wasteland is also not the worst. So I will be clicking Keep. Alright, opponent. Let's see what your turn 1 is. These decks kind of make and break on what they do on turn 1 a lot of times. So, alright, so we're getting a 4-drop, but it's not going to be uncounterable, thankfully. Okay. So this is why we kept his hand. Take a bite of this. So they put 2 cards into this as well. If we wasteland this, our opponent might not be able to play the game. So I will snap off this wasteland straight away. What a perfect design wasteland is, right? Just the fairest of cards. Love it. Right, let's have a mountain. And then we can jam ourselves a little friend. Just harmless little Dragon's Rage Channeler. So we've got 2 types at the moment. The Ponder will be 3. We just need to find a creature or an artifact, and then we can get this turning sideways in a big way. Cavern of Souls. Alright. And no follow-up. What are we doing here? I think we are pondering, because this could hit us into what we need in terms of the creature. Boom. Put into your graveyard, please. This will be... Oh, we have a 3/3 in a second. I would love these cards, in fact. Right, we'll put this one, and the Hydroblast. Now, there's definitely a possibility that Hydroblast doesn't do anything in this entire game. But if it blows up a Caves of Chaos Adventurer or whatever, then we're going to feel pretty good about that. We can't counter it, but we can blow it up and then just take the initiative and ride that to victory. Not that we get anything out of our Dragon's Rage Channeler getting us the initiative on the first step, but there are more steps. So top card of our library is Murktide Regent. I'm okay to draw that one. I think we're just going to... We know we've got a land on top. Then we're just going to play out land and then attack for 3 and then seek the beast on our opponent's turn. And try and get those cards to work with. We've got Hydroblast. We can dig for something if we need to. I'm okay with the situation. Ancient Tomb. Okay, so our opponent is live for a 4-drop here. So we could be looking at Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Alright, it's probably not Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Is it going to be Boromir? This will also put our opponent to 10, which is not the biggest life total I've ever seen. Okay, no, it is the red guy. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Can't be countered. Can be destroyed. Gonna get a little land. Get basic here. Destroy his opponent, please. We should have done this in the wrong order because we don't actually want this land. So we should have done it in a different order there. Should have sought the beast first. That was a little bit sloppy. Apologies. Unlikely to matter in this game, but... Alright. Got some good things in there. Got Big Daddy Mercs. Got Questing Druid. So we want to play out this land. We want to play out this Ponder. Do we want to play out... I think we play out the Questing Druid here. And then the Ponder. Green. Probably another green is fine. Cast this Ponder. There's certainly an argument to cracking this fetch. Should I just put this into our graveyard before we resolve our Ponder? But we don't know what mana we're going to need necessarily if we want black mana here. Force of Will I will take. Orcish Bowmasters is probably not great here, so that we can bury that. Take the Force of Negation and the Force of Will here. No. We'll go to attacks. Bash for 3. We've got Force of Will back up. We've gone for a more value-oriented plan here. We can take the free shuffle here if we want to as well. I don't believe we have a choice. Yeah, we don't have a choice here. It makes us shuffle it. But we were going to shuffle it anyway with our land, so... Alright. We have 5 power. Our opponent's on 7 with an Ancient Tomb. Like, this Force of Will might not get us there, but it will stop something like a Solitude or whatever. Swords to Plowshares. Do we care about this Swords to Plowshares? Our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. They can do spells uncounterably. I think this is worthy of a counterspell here. Put this into our graveyard, I think. Also pumps our Questing Druid. And we've got a Murktide coming in as well. I want to keep the evasion creature alive as the thing. Because if our opponent taps this to go to 5, that puts them in lightning bolt range potentially. And we haven't found a lightning bolt yet, so... Alright. Going to 5. We might be able to make our Questing Druid beat whatever they play as well. An Anointed Peacekeeper. I'll crack this land now, just to avoid them naming it. I'll get Underground Sea, just in case. I like to be able to cast a black spell so we can pump our creature. So they can play a Murktide. They can name Murktide here, but Delve works pretty badly against what they're doing with the old Peacekeeper. Let's have a look at our graveyard. Yeah, they saw our Murktide as well, and they had enough. So we are 1-0. I'm pretty happy about tempo decks into initiative. Let's go to round 2. Right, our opening hand here is a touch slow, but we do have like some turn 2 plays that are pretty decent, so we'll keep this one. Basically, it doesn't have a turn 1 threat, but our deck is much less likely to have a turn 1 threat because we only have the 4... are we about to get reanimated? Because we only have 4 Dragon's Challenge, no Delvers and stuff. Alright, not a big fan of the old swamp there. I am going to play out this Volcanic Island. I'm going to consider brainstorming if our opponent goes for an Entomb. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay, so they could still be reanimated. Some of the reanimated decks are also running some trolls and stuff to as a creature that also puts itself in the bin and is perfectly serviceable to reanimate. But we can't interact with this, so we're not going to. We could get stuck by a Wasteland if they hit our Volcanic Island. But I'd rather keep the Polluted Delta around if possible. And we do still have a Cycler that we can use. Let's see what our opponent wants to attempt here. Another swamp. Okay. Am I brainstorming now? Or am I just Lorien Revealing? That's actually a tough call. I'm going to go for this, Lorien Revealed. If our opponent wants to Oppo Agent, they at least have to Dark Ritual for it. They're paying costs. I guess I spoke slightly too soon. Here's the Oppo Agent, sure. So they get a land out of our deck, but I can live with that. We weren't intent on this resolving. It would just be nice to have. It does shut off our fetch land though, which is the bigger problem. But we can bounce this if we get a little bit more land. They also get to see what we're working with. I don't know. It feels like our opponent is pretty heavy into black with double swamps. A Questing Druid. So I think we are on Brainstorm time. Okay. I like the selection of cards we have here. So, where are we going to put our various cards here? Having a Daze is helpful here. We're going to play that as fetch land but not crack it. I want to save the Lightning Bolt. Bowmasters is useful to kill opponent Bowmasters, so we're going to put the Lightning Bolt on top so it doesn't get discarded here. I'm going to play this out. The next turn we can kill the the Oppo agent and then fetch our black source if we want to. We have a Daze we can fire off as well. We found a little bit of protection. This might be the deck that I played at European Legacy Masters, because I know a few people have been running it and doing quite well with it. Although they got fetch lands, I don't really believe we're running fetch lands, so I'm a little bit suspicious on that front. But it's just basically the core of all the good black cards, right? So, okay. We don't need to do any of this stuff right now, do we? Let's lightning bolt this creature. They got another one? If so, we can Daze it. Okay, they did not have that. So the question I need to ask myself here is, do I want black mana or do I want green mana? I think I want black mana because I definitely want to be able to kill an Orcish Bowmasters. We're not going to just cast this Brainstorm. We're going to wait till our opponent plays an Orcish Bowmaster and Brainstorm response. Because otherwise we're going to get jammed right in the heart. I guess it could be like a mono black deck splashing for like Blood Moon. That would actually be really strong. Quite like that. Maybe I'll play that at some point. Right, he didn't go for the Bowmasters. If they're going to sit around and try and catch us out, that's not really going to work for them. A Caracas. Okay, so maybe we're black-white here. A Dalthy Voidwalker. Sure, I can live with that. I don't think I want to Brainstorm yet either. We'll do it on our turn with more information. Do I want to have black mana available? If we find any other land, the black mana can play a Bowmasters, which isn't actually that amazing on this board. So I think we're going to use the black for a Brainstorm here. We can Daze and pick this up if they do fire off a brain. Alright. Wasteland not looking at its best here. So I think we're going to put back just a couple of Wastelands. And we're going to jam ourselves Scalding Tarn. We're going to crack this. We're going to get our green mana now. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can't actually cast our guy because of this, which is a little bit of an annoyance. But we can bounce this next in the next turn cycle, and then just dump a big Murktide in our opponent's lap and see how they feel with it. Or we can seek the beast. We've got some options here. Obviously, throwing away the Wastelands means our Daze is less good. Alright, an Underground Sea. So they do have blue mana. Alright. Oh, so that's our Underground Sea. Okay. Shouldered the Apocalypse, you say. Sure, this can resolve. Kind of wish we had that Wasteland now. Alright, so what is the call here? I think the call is Petty Theft this away and then scramble for an answer. Now, if they're smart, they will Caracas this so it fizzles our Petty Theft. So we don't get this in exile as a thing that we can play. Yeah, so there it goes. So they fizzle this. But we need to get that out of play because we need to find an answer for it. I don't know if they are running white or they're just running Caracas as a land that is good. So we need to cast this Ponder. We are going to cast this off of green mana, I believe. A Lightning Bolt answers one of the problems we have. It doesn't really answer the other one. How are we going to be able to beat this? If we just have a Lightning Bolt, then we have to draw through these other cards. I think we just have to go any order and shuffle. A Wasteland. Okay, that actually does help us out here. Potentially. If we hit this, then we get it back. I think we just nail the Caracas here. That's the land that's in their deck. So, if we'd have Brainstormed a few turns ago at the end step, in response to the Dalthy Voidwalker, we could have been in so much of a better position. Because we would have been able to just dump a Murktide on several turns. So there's definitely some interesting stuff to learn right there. So we can cast Questing Beast in response to a Shouldered and see if we can find a Force of Will, but we do still have the Daze if we want that. He's going for it. They are. That Wasteland ended up being good. Alright. Are they going to start bashing with this Dalthy? They didn't last turn. What are they so worried about in our exile here? Very strange. Right, we will seek the beast. This will not go into the Dalthy zone because it will go into our zone. It won't have a counter on. Okay, so we'll play out a land. We will cast a Ponder of this mana, I think. Get our value. Okay, we have a Lightning Bolt and a Force of Will. I want both of these cards is the problem. I think we're going to bury the Bowmasters and the Lightning Bolt and put the Force of Will in hand. This way, if they have a Sheoldred, we can at least counterspell it. And we can double Bowmasters to kill the Dalthy if we want to, instead of Lightning Bolting it. Let's see how this turn goes. Reanimate on the Sheoldred. I do not want this to happen. This will put a Force of Will underneath the Dalthy, though, which is something to keep in mind. They could have had us almost dead off this Dalthy if they wanted. Let's have a Lightning Bolt. There's a Bowmasters underneath it if we want the Bowmasters. Not sure we 100% do want the Bowmasters here. So I think we will Lightning Bolt this. Our opponent will crack this and maybe Brainstorm in response. We will play an Orcish Bowmasters. Our opponent will have a bad time. Look at that. We've all drawn it up nicely. An opposition agent. That's a pretty good play here. That forces our hand on this. And then they can force their hand with the... Are they going to let this resolve? They should crack the... Oh, they're letting this resolve. That feels like an error to me. Wouldn't mind another black land, but we don't have another black land. I guess we'll double up on green. Yeah, they should have cracked this Dalthy Voidwalker first. Because it's... Well, it depends what they're taking with, I guess. Like, let's see what they choose. If they go for the Brainstorm, we get to absolutely blow them out here. Does it tell us what they chose? I don't think it does. Brazen Borrower. So just casting this guy. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll jam a little Tropical Island here. And pass. So we can ping this down with the Bow Boys. And then double block the Oppo agent if we want to. Him to Turak. Okay, opponent. I understand. Let's ping down our own Brazen Borrower here. We will lose our other Bowmasters. But we do have this card in exile we get to play. This matchup's kind of been interesting. I think if we'd have Brainstormed in response to the Dalthy Voidwalker ages ago, we probably could have won this game by now. Right, so now our opponent gets to play the second Bowmasters, which is the Bowmasters you want to play. But they're not really running draw effects though, so our Bowmasters aren't amazing in this matchup anyway. So I imagine they're going to swing for 3, we're going to take it, we're going to try and draw a useful spell. Another Bowmasters would be great here. Cantrip, not so much. Probably going to be Bauble, that's like one of the worst draws. Right, that's okay. So this is green and black. Let's play our little friend. Let's play our other friend. This guy, we got instant, sorcery, creature, land. Yep, this is going to be a big boy. And we'll pass. So if we draw a spell next turn, we get to fire off. We get to make our creature significantly bigger. We kind of need 2 spells, really. Shoulder the Apocalypse. Well, this is terrible news for us. This means we probably trade if they offer us one. Right, they did not. Shoulder the Apocalypse. Okay. Taking some damage here. Let's do this. I don't think we're drawing this unless it's something amazing here. A Brainstorm. Get in the bin, this one. I don't really want to draw this extra card. It will trigger both of these. Our Channeler has to attack. Yeah, this Bauble was a pretty bad draw. But we don't have that many amazing draws. Shouldered is a really annoying toughness point for us to beat. Like in the main deck, we just have to borrow, like Brazen Borrower it. So, yeah. I think our opponent should have this one. If, like the mono black decks were originally built to beat blue-red Delver back in the day. But that was more with like ley lines and stuff as well. But Shouldered is a really hard thing for us to answer. Bowmaster is very good against us. Oppo Agent isn't that good against us at the end of the day, but sometimes it can get there. Troll is a very hard thing for us to beat if it's in play. I think our opponent is in good shape. So they're paying that here. So they attack here. We have to chump block here. We take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then how are we supposed to win this game? I don't know if we are. Is the answer to that one? Yep, sure. Okay, so sideboarding. Grafdigger's Cage. That has some text here. Circuit Extraction, Dismember. These have some text. Force of Negation, not that exciting. Counterbalance, not that exciting. Like, we don't have 4 drops. The thing we're most scared of in their deck is the Sheoldred for the most part. So I don't think we want to bring in the counterbalances here. Daze on the play is good. We need the Borrowers. Bauble feels like a little bit awkward here. I guess okay for some good turn 1 plays, but it's going to make it harder for us to flip our Channeler is the problem. Maybe we can trim on... We can definitely trim a Ponder. Do we need the full set of Daze? I think so. They're trying to resolve a 4-drop to beat us. Maybe we don't need all of these surgical extractions. Maybe we only just want the 1. We can trim a Bauble, and that leaves us 1 card to cut. So I guess we're cutting a Ponder here. Brainstorm obviously can get us jammed up by like a Bowmaster or something, but it is just a good card. Double Bauble is a pretty awkward start. But I will keep it and use 1 to do the Super Scry and 1 to have a look at our opponent. We've got a little bit of emergency stuff. We can kill an early Douthie or Bowmasters. This hand is tolerable. So in case you're unfamiliar with the little trick I'm talking about, it's where you Bauble yourself with a fetch so you can see what you're drawing and see if you want to crack your fetch or not. A Force of Will. Okay. Do I want to draw a Force of Will when we already have one? I guess it means we can save the Borrower here to be like a real spell. Do you want to draw an additional card or do you want to draw an opponent's turn? We can do the Scry trick again after we've drawn this Force of Will. That seems fine. I think knowing what my cards are is better than knowing what their cards are. In terms of being able to Scry 1. I'd rather Scry 1 than just peek at my opponent's top card. And that's what this is allowing us to do. Right, let's have a look at our own library again. A Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, I'll leave that on top. Happy to draw that and shut down their reanimate shenanigans. Feels like they're very much holding open for a... Alright, so I'm going to play this one first. Then we're going to crack this. And if they opposition agent, we can blow it up. I would rather use... Okay, so what we have to decide what mana we want here. Is it the green or is it the black? I think it's the black that we want more importantly. Alright, so now we will cast this and say no to our opponent's reanimation shenanigans. So it feels like they're holding up for a troll cycle and maybe to reanimate on turn 2. This just shuts that right down. We have a bolt for a Douthie Voidwalker. We've got potentially 2 Force of Wills if that's the way this game goes. Like if we're up against Sheoldreds, we can say no to them. And we know they're not going to get reanimated while we have the cage, which our opponent has shown us they're basically mono black so far. So they're not going to be able to answer that. A Field of Ruin. This is going to be bad news for us, right? Each player searches the library. A Grief, you say. They get to take 1 of our cards. That's fine. Not amazing, but I'll live. Would you like to take our 1 of Lightning Bolt, or would you like to break up the 2 ofs of our other cards? They took our 1 of Lightning Bolt. That seems correct to me. And they follow up. Okay, we don't have what I would like here. This Field of Ruin is going to be pretty bad for us because we don't have any basics. I don't know why they're not running Wasteland unless they're running that and Wasteland. Orcish Bowmasters. How do I feel about Orcish Bowmasters? I would like to say no to Orcish Bowmasters. We'll pitch 1 of these Borrowers. I want to try and get this Murktide Regent into play soon. Not a big fan of our opponent just wastelanding us here though. Double Field of Ruin. This also fixes their mana, so I'm pretty sure they're going to do it. No? Are they going to let us untap or are they going to do it in our turn? I don't think you want to let us untap with a mana. Alright. No basic lands. I feel our opponent's going to have us on toast here. Yes, I know. We're not using our mana. Right. Rewarded. Let's play the big boy. Blue. Blue. The hardest thing to get in our land, in our library is, in our graveyard is artifacts. That's what we're going to leave for the purpose of Delirium. This is going to be like 5/5? Yeah. 5/5 backed up by a Force of Will. So you just need to survive 4 turns. There is a swamp. You can see the big lady. We are going to see the big lady. Say no to big ladies. Goodbye, Sheoldred. You are too much for me to handle. Underground Sea. We know our opponent's playing discard, so I'd rather have this in play. Things like Hymns Torak, just nipping that out of our hand would be a pain. Right, so we'll put our opponent to 15. If they play a Sheoldred this turn, we cannot race that. We would have to draw our Dismember, which we can now hardcast at least. If they're just going to keep playing this Sheoldreds though. Down to Voidwalker. Okay, we beat this. Are they going to Field of Ruin us? Orcish Bowmasters. We beat this. Alright, we just need our Murktide. I think they maybe should have played some of these guys out instead of the Sheoldred. Because they knew we had the second Force. We have no Mystic Sanctuary in our deck. Smash for a bit here. So our opponent crackbacks for 5. And we crack back for 5. And it all comes out in the wash. Doughty Voidwalk. Does that change the clock? I don't believe it does. I don't want to crack this fetch though. If I can avoid it. Alright, we're going to leave this one in hand. Let them think about something. Let them sweat. Alright, they need to answer our Murktide Regent this turn. Or in this turn cycle at least. Alright, they didn't have a Sheoldred's Edict that turn because they would have fired it off. Opposition Agent, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. This is exactly lethal, right? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's us dead. GG's opponent. Yeah, that felt pretty bad for us at the end of the day. I'm not sure whether we're in Fields of Ruin instead of Wastelands. I guess it does fix their mana in a way that's kind of useful. Maybe they're running those and Wastelands, hard to say. But yeah, we just kind of got a little bit bodied there. Let's go to round 3. Okay, we can do the little scry trick. I think we'll do this. And that gets us working towards a Murktide. It's not going to be the biggest Murktide though. But I can live with that. Alright. I would like to see what our opponent's cooking with so we know what we're looking for. Okay, Polluted Delta. That doesn't tell us anything. Let's see what we've got. Questing Druid. Do I care about Questing Druid? Probably not where I want to be, but it is a lot of value if it's going to be a value-oriented matchup. But we kind of have to make that decision right now. I think we're just going to draw this. I guess we're going to draw them and a second card as well. Okay, Lorien Revealed. Sure, that's quite handy. That's a sorcery we can stick in the bin. Can also get us into our deck a bit more with some more lands. Alright, our opponent's played that Polluted Delta we knew about. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. If we daze this and our opponent dazes back, that's going to be real bad for us. Let's crack this. Actually, it's not going to be real bad for us. What am I talking about? Let's go and get this. Tap this. I think I will daze this, though. This just represents so much value over the course of this game. Like, they can daze and we can pay. If they don't, then we can cycle. Mana efficiency. Let's go and get the last colour we need. Boom. Over to us. A Brazen Borrower. So at the moment, the mana we need the least is probably black. So I'm going to hang the black mana out there. Because if they Wasteland us, I'd rather they Wasteland this than one of our green or red sources. So we're going to be using them to leverage this game. We also filled up our graveyard quite nicely for a Murktide Regent. I will not fire this Murktide Regent into Daze. There's the Wasteland that we mentioned could happen. And look at that. Our play was rewarded. I say rewarded. They still blew up our land and it's pain, but... We can see a Ponder here. No, I think our opponent has a Brainstorm in hand. I would like to draw a Dragon's Rage Channeler here. They're casting Brainstorm in our turn. An Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, so now we've lost our black mana. That's great. I guess we'll play this one out because this is the one we care about getting Wastelanded less than our Volk. Because our Volk is the thing that's going to get our Seek the Beast going. We can make a 5/5 Murktide, but I think we want to try and make the bigger Murktide because our opponent might be able to make a big Murktide at some point and jam us right in the heart. Seek the Beast at the beginning of end step, sure. What do they find? A Force of Will, understood. I'm not going to cast a spell into this Force of Will. I would like to cast this Dragon's Rage Channeler. Is it worth casting this to take a card out of our opponent's hand? I don't think so. I think we're just going to Seek the Beast in our opponent's turn. Let his Force of Will go. Oh wait, no, it's till the beginning of... Yeah, till the beginning of your next end step, right? I have read that right. Until your next end step, yeah. So in their end step, we can cast Seek the Beast and they won't be able to force it. But I know they've kind of got a free roll this turn where they have a force if they need it. We're going to see the Druid, our little friend. Not very friendly, to be honest. Alright, so let's seek the beast. Everyone's doing it. It's a cool new thing. Alright. Found some interesting tools to work with here. I would love to be able to Bowmasters away this Questing Druid, though. Alright. I will play out this Volcanic Island. I will play out this Dragon's Rage Channeler. And then I'll play out another Dragon's Rage Channeler. Then I will cast this Ponder. And get some wonderful triggers. So these are 3/3s already, so... We can see here. They're going to Lightning Bolt one of our friends. I think you Lightning Bolt the first one in response to the second one. I think that's what I would do. If you're intent on doing that. Okay, we don't need more red, so put this into the graveyard. A Brainstorm. Brainstorm is a powerful card. But if our opponent has got even, black in their deck for Bowmasters, that can really cause some problems for us. I would like to find some black mana, though. I think I'll leave this on top. It's better than the average draw, for sure. Okay, so we found the black mana for Bowmasters. Do we just want another Bowmasters? Put Brainstorm and the Bowmasters and keep the land. And yeah, so we can bounce their guy and then Bowmasters it on the way back down. Or if they do something spooky, we can... Okay, so they do have black mana as well. Understood. Lightning Bolt. I think we're about to lose our Dragon Rage Channeler. Sure. So we do have Daddy Mercs coming soon. That should do a decent chunk of work. So we're going to hit for 3 by the Questing Druid. We can bounce this if we need to, but we can just make the bigger guy. Be the bigger man. That's what Murktide likes to do. Let's play this one out. I would like to go blue, blue. Let's cast this. Exiling, Ponder, Lorien Revealed, Daze, and then we just bin off a couple of lands here. If they play Bowmasters, we kill their Bowmasters. If they play someone else, we can do that. So our opponent has a bad land, so their list is not identical to ours. But we have the biggest thing on board right now. Petty Theft. Yeah, that's annoying. Let's play this Underground Sea out. Are we bouncing their Questing Druid right now? I don't think we need to right now. Well, they could hardcast a thing, but we're going to do Force of Will, so we're going to do it in their upkeep. This is not a great play because they get to seek the beast again. But we need to keep our lifestyle in check. We don't just want to get bodied. Alright, so seeking the beast in the end step. Let's see what they sought. 2 lands. Alright, not too unhappy about that one. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. So they have a Brazen Borrower. They're clearly telegraphing they want to play. We could play out this Questing Druid, or we could hold open this other Questing Druid, which I think is better. Because we can seek the beast. We don't want to get our Bowmasters dazed. So they're going to make a Borrower, and then we're going to Bowmasters it. Here it comes. Let's Bow Boys. Let's take out their Borrower. Just pass the turn. We're pretty close on clock as well. This is definitely a game that could end up going late. Right, Hardcast Force of Will is online now. They're tapping out for Questing Druid. They're having a Bowmaster of their own. Yep. But we have a Bowmasters of our own to then be the next Bowmasterer. Bowmeister. We're going to be doing some stuff. Right, there's a Bauble. Cracking it. I think our opponent's black splash is deeper than ours because they got the bad lands, whereas we only have the underground seas. That does mean they can get all 4 of their colours off of just 2 lands though, which is interesting. I doubt they've got a tiger in their deck though. Right, let's do some seeking. You see a Daze here? A Brainstorm. Sure. What can our beast find us? Right, our opponent's now lower on clock than us, which is something we're going to try and work on as well. Because this could well go to 3 very long games. So if you're in the market for lots of 4-colour tempo action, you've come to the right match. Alright, so we got our spell here. So where did it find us? Alright. So they're going to draw a card here. We could have flashed in the Bowmaster response then, to be honest. That would have been a smart play. Alright, we should have done that for sure. Let's just cast this Bowmaster. And then we're going to play the Murktide with a Wasteland to pay around Daze. So we get creature, land, artifact, another creature. And what's most likely to go into our graveyard here? It's probably a land, so we'll take the land out. Not a very big Murktide, but we need to get some pressure going. We do have a Borrower for this Druid when the time comes. A Daze. Alright, I'll pay for this. You got another Daze? No. Okay. So we're not attacking here. We have the Bowmaster advantage. It's a nice place to be. But our creatures aren't massive, but they do have one quite large creature. There's a Bauble. That's not one they want to crack unless they have an answer to our Bowmasters sewn up. Yeah, bouncing these Questing Druids doesn't feel like the place you want to be. Alright, I'm going to take the 4 here. We have another Bowmasters we can deploy. I'm down for that. Our opponent is representing hardcast Force of Will. We can't take them off of it with our Wasteland right now. Right, we're in our opponent's end step. We're going to see a Seek the Beast in the end step. The timing of this is interesting to me. That makes me wonder if I should be doing it that sort of timing as well. Or holding open mana. I guess it kind of says that they don't have anything else going on, which is not a surprise given they only have one other card in hand. Let's see what they sort. A Dragon's Race Channeler for next turn. That's probably going to be Delirious, one would imagine. We're into Questing Town here. I would love to cast a Brainstorm. I think I'd like to cast a Questing Druid first, though. Start growing our own little friend. So we'll cast this Brainstorm. If they have another Bowmasters, we get to Bowmasters their Bowmasters in response to this. Alright. Murktide not looking so great. Neither is this Daze. Let's shift those to... Do you want this land? I think this land is good. Jam this land. Now we have choices about what we can do here. I think we're probably on team ping down their Bowmasters here. And make our lads bigger. And start rumbling. So this is a big smack for 7. We're probably going to be doing some amount of chump block in the not too distant future. It's petty theft. It is another petty theft. What is it targeting? Our Orc army token. Interesting. Do I want to Brainstorm right now? What is that going to find us potentially? 2 new cards. Could be Force of Will. Do I want to Force of Will this? Uncertain, to be honest. I don't think I do. I think we're just going to let this go. So now we're going to bash them for only 4. Okay, cracking their fetch land. So we've got 2 Borrowers of our own to deploy at some point as well. Are we supposed to reset their Questing Druid and go for the tempo play? Uncertain, but we might be going for it. Let's see what they do. They're going to play their Druid, then they're going to play their Borrower at some point. Yeah, there's the Druid. They play their Channeler. Here it comes. Yeah, they're playing out the land. Here's the Channeler. We don't want to always yield to these, actually, do we? Because we might have a situation where we want to ping something down in response to a trigger later on. Right. They've got a guy. Orcish Bowmasters. In response. We will fetch another Trop here. And cast this Brainstorm because it's not getting any better from this point onwards. Dragon's Race Channeler, Lightning Bolt. All of these cards are great. So how are we going to deploy them is the question. I think we'll put the Questing Druid on top and the Borrower. And we'll draw the Borrower next turn. Yep, so we're going to lose our Bowmasters here. But I can live with that. I do have an 8/8 now, which is kind of awkward. I'll definitely describe that as being awkward for us. We have a choice now. Are we letting this guy die on, or are we just taking 8 and being dead to lightning bolts? Yuck. I don't think we win this one by... We do have to block so many of their guys. Yeah, I think we do have to just... Oh, I hate this place so much. But I don't think we can afford to take 8 here. 6 would have been fine, but 8, no. Right, very unhappy with that play. But we had to do it, I think, there. Right, so now we're drawing a Questing Beast. Not Brazen Borrower, sorry. Questing Beast. That would be interesting on this board. Alright. Let's make our Questing Beast and start growing it. They can't play their Borrower this turn. We know they can't play any spells. I think I'd rather kill their second Questing Beast here. Let's pop that one. So we know the top card of our library is another Questing Druid, so we're going to leave that on top. That's some good gas. Alright, so then we can bounce their Questing Druid if we want to here. This is going to have to attack. Do we want to trade? Do we want to push for damage? I think we want to bounce our opponent's Questing Beast, Questing Druid at an opportune moment. The next time we reload with our Questing Druid, and they get to reload with their Questing Druid, and we just get to play this very silly song and dance. If we can find a Murktide, we'll grow our other Murktide. So that'd be real nice. A Wasteland, sure. You gonna snap it off on anything? We'll block here. So our Murktide can grow here. There is a Brazen Borrower. Sure. And now we will Petty Theft their Questing Druid. What a silly game we have got on our hands here. But we've reset that one. Doesn't feel good to have this answer, to be honest with your opponent, because you just get to draw 2 more cards. This game continues to burn. We need a Murktide. That's what will win us this game, I think. They're going to cast the Questing Beast now. The Questing... Why do I keep calling it Questing Beast? It's been so long where the only good Questing card was Questing Beast. Now my brain's a little broken. Right, let's see what they get off of this. Bowmasters is very good here. That takes out our Bowmasters and Borrower. They also have a Dragon's Rage Channeler to follow up. Yikes. I think the pendulum has swung in our opponent's favour here. Yep, goodbye. Poor little Bowmasters. Yep, now they have Bowmaster Supremacy. We have Questing Beast Supremacy. Questing Druid. Sorry. I'll get it right at some point. I barely even played Questing Beast, to be honest with you. But it's just stuck in my brain. Right, we lose a green source. That's pretty relevant. They draw a nice little card for themselves. Let's Seek the Beast. So this is red mana and colourless. We grow this guy. What do we find? Scalding Tarn and a Wasteland. Not great, to be honest with you. I'm not really top decking like a boss. I've been surveilling these cards on top. I just had a Dragon's Rage Channeler alive for longer than them. So we don't get to do these things. Do we just play out this Questing Druid now? Just so it's in play for later turns? I think we probably do. And then we pass. Yep, they're Questing Druid. And then we start this whole sorry song and dance all over again. Dragon's Rage Channeler from our opponent. Yep. Doing some pondering here. It's pretty tasty. Our plan next turn is most likely double Brazen Borrower unless we find the Murktide. And then that puts us into the driving seat. Because then we just get the big evasive threat and we can kind of jam. We have the biggest ground pounder right now. But our opponent is chaining cantrips and stuff. So it's just going to be a lightning bolt on our... Yeah, so our opponent has seen the line of us finding another Murktide being incredibly good. If we had a Mystic Sanctuary in our deck, then we can absolutely blow our opponent out. But we don't, so... Goodbye, Murktide Regent. I don't think the 4-colour build should be running Mystic Sanctuary. But it's definitely something we're giving up for having the 4 colours. Right, we've ground like a good amount of time for our opponent's clock there as well. So we're getting bashed for 3 this turn. But we get to grow our guys. They got 1 card in hand. Yep, they got more ponders. So their beat is already up to the same size as ours. And because they have Bowmaster Supremacy, we can't do a similar play without getting pinged a bunch. And losing our... Well, we won't lose our Questing Druid because we'll play the Brazen Borrower in response to the second ping. But yeah, not great. Not great. Also, we're now down to 7 life. So not the most amount of hit points left. This is still game 1, right? Alright, Polluted Delta, sure. Over to us. A Murktide Regent. Okay, so we had the best play available. What is our instance and sorcery count looking like? Pretty good. Our opponent's going to be, oh my god, nice top deck. But they just had a rather nice turn themselves. 1, 2, 3. We don't have any more things to get rid of here. But we get to grow our guy. I don't even think we can attack with our Questing Druid here. As sad as that is. Alright, I think we have to pass. And we can trade borrowers, potentially, if they have an answer for our Murktide. We get to grow both of our Questing Druids. And just need to kind of hit runner spells, but our opponent can hit cantrips and we can't because of their Bowmasters. Yep, see, this is what I mean. They're just going to be doing this all the time. And what makes it great is like cantrips just become really good cards for them to have at this point. It just fuels their whole team. Alright, Brainstorm. Let's see how bad the damage is for us. Opponent down to 19 cards. 21 once they put the 2 cards back off the Brainstorm, but not the most amount of cards. Yep, Dragon's very shallow. Our opponent is certainly turning the corner here. Haven't seen Murktides from their list yet, though, which is interesting. We've got some interesting choices available to us here. Our opponent has no cards in hand, though, so this should hopefully be a good combat step for us. We get to clear off 1 Questing Druid, clear off 2 of their flyers. I don't think you've got the time to be doing this, opponent. You've got to try and play 1 or 2 games after this. Cast this. Blue, blue, 1. Questing Druid. Questing Druid. Our opponent has no cards in hand, so we know this is gonna... We know this is a trade that we can take if we want it. And I think we do. This guy will eat this up. This guy will eat this up. We just clean the board up. And then be king of the ground pounders. We've got 1 card in reserve. That will grow our ground pounder. A Brainstorm. I'm not really casting this one unless I absolutely have to. Okay. 1, blue. Right, we're going to pass a turn. We've got a lot more time on our clock. And they're going to have to suicide their Showcase Challeng to our Murktide Regent, so we can just gobble that up. Although, did they stat their deck last turn? A Brainstorm. I think they might have stat their deck last turn with a Brainstorm. So maybe they've got something, a good follow-up here. Our Murktide would be a good follow-up. But again, we haven't seen a single Murktide from our opponent yet. Alright, so we get to take our opponent's Showcase Challeng for free. And now we find a Daze. Not the most useful Magic the Gathering card I've ever seen. We bash for 3 this turn, then we bash for 9 in the air next turn. This keeps back our biggest blockers. It keeps our life total safe. Nothing from our opponent's end step. Again, I don't think it's worth wastelanding here. I think if we have like a turn with Questing Druid, we're just going to want more mana sources available. There's definitely times where you want to be wastelanding your opponent in this matchup, but this is not it. So we draw here and see if it makes any difference. Ponder. If they bounce this out of play, I don't know if I'm supposed to go for it here. If we go for the kill here and they have like a Brazen Borrower, they get to play and cast it, and that's real bad news for us. So we're just going to attack for 3 here and just play it cautiously. Our opponent is the one who has to do things recklessly due to the clock. Now, they can definitely beat us in 7 minutes if we lose this game as well. Alright, they didn't have Borrower end step there. So this can't block ground pounders, which is why I'm reluctant to... Right, another Wasteland. How many Wastelands is that now? 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm not expecting more than 3 because they are 4 colours as well. Alright, so they do have Murktide Regents in their deck, and here is one. Understood. Alright, so a Lightning Bolt would be pretty good here, but our opponent could have a Force of Will. Sure, you can take that out. Bit rude, but makes sense. A Lightning Bolt. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. We can't take them off hard cast Force of Will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can take them off of hard cast Force of Will. Make this Daze actually count for something. Let's take this out, because this is the part of the red mana they might use for something here. Right, we're going to attack with these 2 guys. Take the damage. Lightning Bolt their face. We have a Daze. So it's hard cast Force of Will. Yep, here it comes. The beautiful turn 16 Daze for the win. Nice. Our opponent was very unhappy with that. Okay, so Hydroblast and Pyroblast are good here. Force of Wills are bad. We don't want 1-for-1 counters. Dismember's nice. Counterbalance is nice. Daze is poor as well. These come out. We have space for 1 more card if we want it. We can just bring back a Force of Will or a Miser's Daze. I think we're going to take back 1 Force of Will there. Our opening hand needs a little bit of help. We've got some answers for early stuff, so I'm okay with this. Our opponent has to win 2 games in 6 minutes. It's possible. Dragon's Race Channeler is a good way to start the game off, if that's your intention. Okay, I'm not going to fire this off yet. I'm going to crack this off. I think we're going to get a black source here. And then try and ponder into a red source, as weird as that sounds. Alright, these cards are all pretty nice. Lorien Revealed is probably the one we don't need just yet, so we'll put that back. And then the Hydroblast, and then Scalding Tarn, say no, and pass the turn. So we don't want to blast this into Daze. Another Channeler, that's pretty good. And a Ponder to get them both cooking. Very nice. We could shove a Bowmasters here, but if our opponent does have the Daze, we are in the dirt. So that's definitely not what I want to do. They kept all their cards on top. That's certainly interesting. The Lorien Revealed on top is nice, but we need to start killing these. Just going to get this, and we're going to go for a Lightning Bolt. We'll pass. So Hydroblast can counter Seek the Beast on the front side and deals with the Druid nicely and cleanly. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for this Hydroblast. But if it's just a 1 mana answer Dragon's Race Channeler, I'm also fine with that. Cracking a fetch over there. Underground Sea. This is the Bowmasters. Whatever. We've got our own Bowmasters to follow up with. Yeah, we'll take 1 from this. It's worth taking the 1 and holding up the Hydroblast in case they have a Seek the Beast going on. Right, here comes a Seek the Beast. Now they could have a Daze here and blow us out, but this is definitely worth doing for us. Because if this works, we're so far ahead. I'm expecting this to get Daze, to be honest. But if it doesn't, we're in a great time. Our opponent's paused, which probably means they're typing something in chat. No, they have a Daze, that's fine. Okay. It's quite a long pause to decide if they're Daze in that one, but I think that's a stone cold Daze right there. Right, so we need to save our... do we need to save our Dismember for the Questing Beast or not? That's a tough call for sure. Are we playing into a Daze here? I don't think we can afford to pay the life here. So I think we will fire this off into a potential Daze. They've got a second Daze, that's bad for us. But they can fire off this Force of Will from the exile zone. No, they don't want to do that. Interesting. Does that mean they don't have a blue card in hand? Maybe that's what I'll read that as. Very interesting. So we're going to see the Questing Beast and probably do some stuff. Because they're on a short clock and they have to win 2 games, they're probably going to be doing a very aggressive line here. Which is why I'm surprised they didn't try and keep their guy alive. Right, we just pass. We can Seek the Beast or we can Orcish Bowmasters their guy. Orcish Bowmasters might be difficult given our opponent's bunch of mana they have. It's a tropical island. Green mana. No green mana. Blue mana. Let's go for this. It's going to be pretty good if it resolves. They have another Daze. Sure. So we can bounce this and slow the game down as well. Right, more beast seeking. Let's see what they find. 2 lands. Okay. I would have liked to land. I'm going to go for the upside of pondering into a land here. We need to get something going. That's something, isn't it? So I do think we want to bounce this now. It's probably Wasteland, Channeler, Trop, no to shuffle. Play this out. Petty theft this away. Slow this game down. Like, we've got so much gas in hand. If we can slow this one down, we might be alright. Maybe we get a chance to actually Bowmasters this guy down. Our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. Here comes Questing Druid. Didn't call it beast that time. I'm learning. I very nearly did though. So we've got a Dragon's Rage Channeler here. Let's just slap this bad boy down. And pass the turn. We're going to bolt our guy. In response, we're going to Bowmasters. See if we can kill their Druid. Got another Daze or another spell. Can I kill your guy, please? Please don't crack the Delta and play a spell. That'd be sad times for me. Now, if they had a Daze, they would have put it on the Bowmasters for sure. So they could have another Bolt or a Brainstorm. We don't want to cast a Brainstorm into this. All right, we're in. Right, we now have control of this game, I would say. We've got 6 cards in hand, effectively, and a Brazen Borrower. So we've basically got a full grip to our opponent's 3 cards after they draw for turn. So that gives us a lot of room to wiggle here. And our opponent's got less than 2 minutes to win this game. They can Wasteland us. We know we've got another land coming. Yep, so they're seeking the beast at end step again. Wasteland, Bauble. Neither of those particularly exciting. We have a Wasteland of our own. Our opponent is scooped up because they do not have enough time to win this game. Oh, that was a long one. Yeah, we got there though, so I can't really argue. But I think what was really interesting to me was the timing that they were doing their Seek the Beast. I'm curious why they're doing that timing. I haven't played Seek the Beast enough to say definitively what the correct time is, but I think if you've got other stuff to play, you want to hold it up. And they're playing in their end step, so it's not as if they could play any other like main phase spells there. I know, just kind of interesting. Anyway, we are 2-1 after that epic one, so let's go to round 4 and keep it rolling. We're on the play for round 4. We do not have any lands, so easy mulligan. This hand is fine. We can keep this one. We have to decide what goes back here. I think it's probably the Wasteland. Is that true? This does give us 2 looks at some more stuff. No, let's put back the Bauble. Maybe that's wrong. I just love Wasteland so much. Right, let's play a Delta. All our lands get all our lands, so we'll just play this one out because we're a red-blue deck. So if we play this one out, our opponent might think we're a blue-black deck instead. Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth into Exploration. Okay, so we're against some sort of land strategy, which is probably going to be difficult for us at the end of the day. Because our mana base, not best friends with opposing Wastelands. Thespian Stage. Oh, we comboing off. Okay. So our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. I feel they're going to make a 20/20 next turn. And we're going to hopefully stop that. Alright, let's just play a Wasteland out. A Crop Rotation. Okay, let's see what they get. If they don't get green source, we can waste them off green. But whilst they had the Ristone Portal up with Yavimaya, there was no point just wasting the Yavimaya straight away. Because they would just waste on it. A Dark Depths, you say? Okay. It's kind of suspicious. There's another Thespian Stage. Okay. Pithing Needle, you say? Interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to Wasteland their Yavimaya. Then they're going to make their 20/20, then we're going to bounce it, and then we're going to win the game. I'm going to crack this so they don't get us. Unless they have a Wasteland in hand, it's going to be bad for us, I suppose. They got one card in hand. Oh, that cold shot, they put their Pith Needle on Scalding Tarn, and that's going to win them the game. That's such a pain. We couldn't counter that because our borrow was the thing we're trying to do with it. Come on, deck. Any other land? Oh my god. I just show them my hand because it's so funny. I don't care if they know what I'm playing. Yeah. I give them some more information. I don't care. That was too funny. All right. For this matchup, Force of Negation hits Life of Malone. So we want that. Meltdown can stop as a Saga construct. Counterbalance can sometimes do some stuff. Shade Extraction also can sometimes do some stuff. Lightning Bolt's not great here. They're just for racing, really. And I don't know if we want to be... Can we race with bolts? I don't think we want the bolts. I'm just going to go like this and just make some guys. Daze is also poor, actually. Let's trim these dazes for the bolts. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's fine. I'd rather have a little bit of race. This matchup is pretty grim for Delta deck, especially when we don't have any sort of basics or anything. Or Price of Progress abilities. Alright, we'll keep this. Yeah, if our opponent doesn't name Scalding Tarn now, I think we are like 99% on to win that game. But our opponent had a shot to call. They called it and they got there, so. Wasteland. Goodbye, basic land. Play this Underground Sea. We could Brainstorm. We could Lorien Revealed. Neither of them will get us Delirious this turn. So we'll just attack for one and poke. Next turn we can though. We are almost certainly cycling this just so we can get another land here. That's probably going to be a Volcanic. Expedition map. Sure, that's not that scary. Let's go and get our Volk. So we've got two types now. The Brainstorm will be the third type. Let's Brainstorm away. Ponder is not one of the types we need, so this can go into our graveyard. Bolt, Counterbalance. We could put a Counterbalance into the graveyard and start attacking just by bolting our opponent here. I don't hate that as a strategy. We'd have to put this Volcanic on top though. I guess Bowmasters is pretty poor in this matchup. Let's put Bowmasters and then Counterbalance. We could have put the Bowmasters as the thing that we pitched instead. I guess Bowmasters is probably better than Counterbalance for the most part. Right, let's bolt our opponent. Right, let's just need to try and get a clock going. Would I rather have the Bowmasters or the Counterbalance? Like the Counterbalance doesn't get our opponent dead, right? And that's what we need to do before our opponent can set up. Like they didn't have an Exploration opening hand or anything. So they're going to be a bit slow. So we can just slam enough guys down. Maybe we'll be okay. Obviously our Force of Negation isn't looking amazing right now, but Sphere of Resistance. Okay. Just have another Bowmasters, I guess. Paste one out, start bashing. I think we are just going to make a Bowmasters and attack our opponent with it. I think that's probably the best way of making damage here. We could have played this and then maybe try and get some cards, or we could cast a Seek the Beast. But that's not really getting us the damage to win the game here. Like it's a 2-turn clock if we play as Bowmasters. Crop Rotation. We cannot counterspell this. What are you going to find? A Bajuka Bog. Yeah, that's kind of irritating, but we've got a land to put in there straight away, which is something. If we find a Wasteland of our own, we're probably having a great time. Black, 1/1. Like if there's burning their tutors on that just to keep themselves alive, then there's a good sign for us. There's always a caveat. There's an ish there. Trying to work out if we play this. No, because of Sphere of Resistance, we don't cast that, do we? This is 3 damage. What can this put into our graveyard? If we cast the Lightning Bolt, it puts in 1 type. That's not enough. Right, so I think we're attacking here. And then we're casting this guy. Because this will pump our other one to get a little bit more damage in. We're just going aggro here. So this is going to put our opponent to 4, if I can do maths. So we just need to get 1 more point of damage in. And then our Lightning Bolt was lethal. But, alright, so we got there with a tempo. Do we want to do anything differently here? Kind of slightly interested in Null Rod, weirdly. Like, it's good against Expedition map, but that's probably just a one-off, so I'm not really into that. And maybe we just go back in again. Daze on the play can sometimes do things. Is that enough to make me play them? I don't think so. And we just resubmit, go back in. Not a turn 1 threat, but we can play a turn 2 threat that's kind of medium though. We have a lot of lands to work with. No, I think we can do better than this. This is better. We only have the 1 land though, which is, not going to lie, kind of terrifying. But we do get to draw first. Oh, why are you going to do this to me, opponent? We need to get punished on this one, maybe. I got Ghost Core as well. Yuck. Expedition map, sure. I've got a bad feeling about this one. I think we are supposed to cast the Ponder here. It's the most looks at another land. Yes, please. I'll put them bottom, bottom. And then... Alright. We have 3 lands on top of our library. And I would like to just draw them all. We have Dark Depths covered. There is a Thespian Stave. I'm representing the Dark Depths combo pretty quickly. Exoration, yeah. But if they're all in the Dark Depths combo and we bounce it, then that's probably going to be a nice time for us. It's going to be another Wasteland. I think that's what I would get if I were them. But I'm hoping our opponent wants to kill us rather than make our life miserable. But the correct play is always make your opponent's life miserable. Our opponent's thinking a long time about this decision. Do they want to make us miserable? Do they want to put 2020 in our face? I can respect either, because Wasteland people out of the game and making 2020s are 2 of my all-time favourite things to do in Magic the Gathering. So, alright. My internet went down briefly there. Our opponent got Dark Depths. Okay, sure. Sorry, just trying to get my head back into where we were. So our opponent played Dark Depths there. We were 40 seconds out of timing out. Alright, so part of the problem we have here is that our opponent can Wasteland us and then maybe make a 2020. But they won't be able to do that until next turn. So I think the play here is play a Volcanic Island. And we're going to play out a Dragon's Rage Channeler. And then we're going to play out another Dragon's Rage Channeler. So at least we have the option of trying to block our opponent's creature next turn. Because they're not going to make it this turn. At least I hope not. Right, so it's our opponent's turn now, so they didn't make it that turn. So they have double Wasteland. So we're going to lose the game? I think that's what that means. Maybe we're not going to lose the game here. They get a 2020. They have a Wasteland, but we have another mana source. So we get to Petty Theft this and kind of beat down. Interesting. Let's crack this. I think we just want more mana like this right now. Let's Petty Theft this. We get caught by a surprise. Okay, let's put a creature into our graveyard. That helps. And put Ponder into our graveyard, I guess. We only bash for 2 though. So our opponent's got a few turns to rebuild. But next turn we can Brainstorm, set up our channelers to be 3/3s, and then start bashing away. Now our opponent could just cast something like a... So the reason we got the Volcanic is they couldn't waste us off red there. All right, our opponent did not have a life from the loam there, which is excellent news for us. Right, this will be Delirium. And now we have a 3-turn clock. I will put this Wasteland on top of my library if my opponent has not got any lands. I have to play a little bit quick here, but we should be fine. Swords to Plowshares. Oakley dokley. Our clock is a bit slower now. I don't think we're in the market for Force of Negation right now, are we? And we can put back this Underground Sea. We can deploy this. Bash away as we have to. Obviously we want to. It's a 6-turn clock. But we do have a Wasteland that we can mess our opponent up with. A Caracas. Okay. I think we just hit anything just to keep them off of mana of casting Life from the Loam at any point. Say no. Bash away. And we're probably going to play the Borrower this turn, right? Have we got the land? No, we've already played a land draw, haven't we? Doesn't matter if we bolt or anything. So I'm a little bit flustered for my internet going down. I'm playing quite quick here. I think... Right, a Mox Diamond. Did they find a land? They did. I have a Life from the Loam here. So it's a Force of Negation on top of our library, right? So if we draw that, then we can hardcast it, right? Yes, okay. I remembered what my deck... The cards in my deck in the correct order. And if we don't have to cast it on their Life from the Loam, we get to Brazen Borrower. We might be able to do it here. A Soul Guide Lantern. That's fine. We have lethal with our Borrower anyway. So they can take out our creature and stop our Delirium. But that's fine. They have shown us Plow as well, which is certainly an interesting one that we have to keep in mind. We do not want to get wasted off red. So let's just go and get the last Volk. Smash down our little friend. Here's the Borrower. And we should have this one, I think. I don't want to do these lightning bolts, just in case our opponent has a Plow. I'd much rather Force of Negation that. I guess we could always extract the Plow, but if they have it, they'll fire it off anyway, so it doesn't really get us anywhere. Okay, so now we have lethal. We can shoot our opponent in their end steps. Okay, if they fire off anything here. Sure, we'll just bolt them and bolt them. We're not playing into a mind break trap even if they have one. Alright, so we are 3-1 going to the final round looking for the 4-1. Our opening hand for the final round doesn't really do the things I want it to do here. But we can Seek the Beast, I suppose, and try and use this as our leverage. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep this one. I'm going to try it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Don't really want to play out our Volk in case it gets Wastelanded, because we kind of need that mana. So probably playing out the Wasteland turn 1. If they Wasteland our Wasteland, it's not the end of the world. But if they Wasteland our important coloured source, then yeah, that's pretty bad news. It means we can't lightning bolt something on turn 1 if we need to. But we do have Force of Will available, so we can kind of keep ourselves alive against something scary. And they might not think about Force of Will if we played the Wasteland first as well, so we might get them. Mox Opal. Alright. Thinking 8 cast here? Feels like 8 cast. There's a Bauble. So we want to Force of Will something scary. We want to hit the payoff here. That's not really the payoff. We're looking for like Emery's or Cap Cannoneer type jam. I thought Monitor is something I probably would think about counterspelling, but... Alright, so we don't also have to worry about our lands getting wastelanded in this matchup, which is nice. Alright, so we're just going to go to our turn. We could wasteland our opponent, but I don't think that's where I want to be. Alright, we're just going to play this out and Seek the Beast in our opponent's turn. And try and get a bit more leverage out of our deck. An Ancient Tomb. A Chalice for 1, you say? I'm going to try and counterspell this. Alright, we got there. We got 2 free points of damage on the way as well. Maybe we're supposed to Seek the Beast first in response, actually. Just so we know what we're working with. Let's see if they'll let us Seek the Beast. This Murktide's probably not doing very much. No, it doesn't feel like it is. Yep, so this is pretty bad. There's this Bauble. Am I taking out our opponent's Ancient Tomb? Am I taking out their Seat of the Synod, which is one of their things for Metalcraft? We know they've got a Bauble in hand. Are we holding up our Borrower? I think our opponent has us over a barrel here, to be honest. They got so many cards in hand. Okay, Questing Druid is something we get to do things with, at least. Something we get to do something with. That's the level we're operating at right now. A Thought Monitor. I'd like to seek the beast here. See if we can find anything. Like a Daze, I'd love to pitch off on this. This is a threat that also draws them cards. I think I'm okay burning this Borrower to answer this. It feels like a 3-for-1 almost. And if we power some stuff out... Okay, we have a Wasteland for a Saga already. That's pretty tasty. Don't play a Pithing Needle now, opponent, please. Alright. So, I would like to draw a land. A Tropical Island or a Fetch Land would be useful. That's not either of those things that I wanted, was it? Alright, let's smash this Saga. And honestly, I think I'm just going to smash their other artifact land and try and keep them off Metalcraft for a bit. Could work. I'm not really sure what's in their hand. I have to imagine like Kappas. That's one of the things they could have that they wouldn't have cast. Oh no, so punished by that second Wasteland. Absolute punish. Patchwork Automaton. Alright, well, we don't have the mana to pay around this one either. I feel like we're just going to get clowned here. We missed on land for too long. Maybe it was a shaky keep. Well, I did say I wasn't sure if I was supposed to keep it, and having played this game, I think I can safely say I wasn't supposed to keep it. Yeah, it might have worked out, but that's how you learn things, right? Our mana base is... okay, let's have a look. Brainstorm. Is this... are we realistically able to do anything in this game at this point? I don't think we are. I think we're just not going to find any mana. But we'll see a little bit more of our opponent's deck, see if they're probably not a pain to build with the Chalice, to be honest. Right, so there's the Saga. Just checking up. Need a Spell Bomb. Sure. How do I think we beat this? I don't know if we do. Right, this Saga's going to be relatively large. Oh, we've got Lightning Bolts. If our opponent goes low enough, maybe we double... Okay. I think we have to counterspell this one. Because our plan is our opponent taps their Ancient Tombs a bit more and we Lightning Bolt them twice. That's how we win this game. Yuck, that's disgusting. Right, but they will kill us in 3 hits, I reckon. And they can also go and get Shadow Spear. If they get a Shadow Spear, then we're definitely done for. If they tap both of these, they go to 8. So they have to tap them and then tap the other one. Yep, so they make a big guy. If they get a Shadow Spear and stick on their guy, we definitely lose. They probably have a reasonable idea what we're playing as well. They don't know about the black mana though, so maybe we can get them with Bowmasters. If this is Shadow Spear and they equip it, then we scoop it up. If they don't equip it here, maybe we're okay. Equipping it to that guy. Yep, that's too rich for my blood. Yeah, we just didn't draw the lands. Null Rod, very good here. Meltdown, very good here. Pyroblast, pretty reasonable here. Soul Extraction, don't really like Dismember either. Counterbalance, they got a lot of zeros, so our lands can counter those. They got 7 drops, we can counter those with Murktide. They got 5 drops, so we can counter those with those. Emery, kind of. Chalice not going. I'm not massively convinced on Counterbalance, but I think it's possible. I don't think we want these baubles if we're bringing in Null Rod and Meltdown. I like Bolt to clean up an Emery. Daze on the play is acceptable, but not amazing. Maybe we trim these Dazes and smash a Counterbalance in. And I feel pretty okay with that. Do I want a Force instead of a Force of Negation instead of a Counterbalance? I don't think so. 5 Force effects is a lot. No, we're going to run it like this. Bowmaster's pretty tasty here. Yeah, this looks like a reasonable hand of Magic the Gathering cards. We have a turn 1 play. We get to Wasteland our opponent. So we have the first Desert Saga covered. We start surveilling as early as turn 2 potentially. Because we're on the play, we also get to get our threat down and then bolt something like an Emery that appears on turn 1. so I'll take it. Right, crack this for a Volcanic. Jam down. Cheeky little Dragon's Rage Channeler. Pass the turn. Ancient Tomb. We're going to see... Okay, Lotus Petal. So probably not seeing Chalice here. We could see Chalice still. Patchwork, Automaton. They've done this to pay around Daze, if you're wondering why they played the Pearl out first. They've got another Petal. Okay. How big is this guy going to get? He's going to get pretty big. We're kind of hoping they're all in on this Patchwork Automaton, but another artifact does kind of ruin our day here. But we're just looking for meltdowns and things like that now. So if we play this out, we're further away from doing our Lightning Bolt paying for the ward. So we're kind of hoping they don't play an artifact this turn. That's what our strategy is. Now Wasteland could have stopped them from playing an artifact, but wouldn't have made it so we could pay the ward the next turn anyway. Alright. They are just pumping the lad. So we are probably, looking at these Ancient Tombs, we're probably going to be just going upstairs with some Lightning Bolts and getting our Surveil on. Yep, I will take some of your damage there. We might as well just get our colours because our opponent's not going to mess with our mana base here. Right, let's try and get a Murktide into play as soon as possible. No longer can we bolt the Patchwork Automaton. Meltdown or bust. This is a creature for delirium purposes, if that's what we're interested in. Yeah, I think we're just trying to bottom stuff that aren't Meltdown, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can make a Murktide this turn. Let's bolt them again, because this is basically free to do. And makes our Murktide larger. Null Rod. Put on top of my library, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not great for our delirium, but we can make a reasonably sized creature here. Yep, and they're going to play the Force. Yep, so there's a hard cast Force. But next turn we can slam a Null Rod. And then we just need to answer this little Patchwork. But maybe we were supposed to get rid of the Null Rod and get in a hit for 3. Maybe that was a mistake. I would love to find something. So we cast the Null Rod, it will mill a card potentially. And if they counter the Null Rod, that's an artifact. Alright. I think this is going to be a 3-turn clock regardless, but maybe I'm wrong. They can turn into a 2-turn clock, then I think we lose. I think it's 3-turn clock. I think we've got a shot. Kappa Cannoneer. Whew. Right, so that's going to be a lot of damage. So that's us dead next turn. Null Rod is probably a little too late here to matter, but I think we do have to cast it now, just so we get the Surveil going. Into the graveyard, please. Let's play this. I guess we'll hit their Ancient Tomb. Try and put some cards in there. So we can chump block the 6/6. But this 5/5 is going to be doing some work. And our Murktide is not going to be big enough to matter here. In come the lads. We have to chump block here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this will give us enough to play a Murktide. But we're going to have to chump block with it. If we find a Meltdown, that's not the worst. We lose the Null Rod to do this. But this hits us once. Then we play a Murktide. Maybe... It's not going to be big enough, is it? Alright, this is what we have to do here, I think. Alright. So our opponent's got ability to play stuff again, but they don't have that much going on. They've just got this Ancient Tomb. And if they tap it, they die to Lightning Bolt. So they're probably just going to beat down with this. What are we trying to find here? Who knows? Some guy to chump block with. That doesn't do it, does it? Well, we can chump block with our Murktide, but I think we keep this for the purposes of Brainstorms, I guess. So blue, 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 and whatever. So our guy is just going under the bus here. So we'll keep the one that can pump the Murktide easier. Alright. How do we survive this one? That is a real mystery. Okay, if they tap this, okay, they're playing it for the lightning bolt to cover the lightning bolt. Yeah, this also gives me unblockability, so they're just covered on all bases here, unless we had a card in hand, which we don't. Yep, our opponent's got us there. And that is the end of the league. So we went 3-2. Let's talk about the deck. Right, when my internet got reset, it changed the way it's laid out. But anyway, you can see the deck still. So we went 3-2 with this list. We got beaten up pretty hard by the mono black deck. And the 8-cast matchup was... The first game, we kept a one-lander and didn't pan out. So that's not really indicative of necessarily how the matchup works. I think that's fine to lose that one, to be honest. And then the second game we lost against 8-cast, we were just a little bit behind on some of our bits and pieces. Like we were kind of close at one point to getting there. But it just, if they didn't have the kappa, we were okay. The Null Rod was one turn earlier, we're okay. It was just kind of, the slight margin was just slightly off for us on that one. I think 8-cast is probably alright in the world of Bowmasters now, because 8-cast was pretty reasonable into Delver. Obviously Delver started playing Meltdowns and stuff and it got harder for them. But that, alongside the Bowmasters, means I think you're probably quite happy to play against them. But the new Patchwork Automaton builds are surprisingly resilient, because we need a Meltdown to kill that Patchwork Automaton, and it's probably going to outgrow a lot of our stuff unless we can get a Questing Druid going, which isn't something we necessarily do in the early game. So the Patchwork Automaton can kind of just ride to victory, but I wouldn't be upset to play against 8-cast with this deck. So what do I think of this particular build? It's clearly powerful. We're doing powerful things. Our mana base doesn't feel that fragile. We're basically a blue-red deck with a couple of splashes in, and we can kind of ignore those cards some of the time. And the front side of Questing Druid being red is really good, because it means you get your Volcanic Island. This digs you closer to finding the lands you need to then cast the backside of it, and that sort of thing. So that seems fine. I like having Lorien Revealed as another sorcery, so we have 6 sorceries we can put in the graveyard. That feels really important to me. And obviously with the extra splash, a little bit more ability to find the lands you want is pretty good. Yeah, I think this deck is very solid. I don't know which particular version of like tempo-y builds I would like now. Like recently on the channel I've played Rug, I've played Grixis, I've now played the 4-color one. I haven't played Jeskai for a while, but I don't think Jeskai is where you want to be. It's more of like a mid-range deck Jeskai, and I think the best builds of that are playing things like Triumph of St. Catherine, which isn't on Magic Online, so I can't really run that anyway. But we beat the Mirror, so I'm going to take that as points for me. And I think we actually win that game as well, rather than it just being a timeout. I think we had the substantial amount of resources that would win that game anyway. So yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. If you want to play one of the tempo builds, this is certainly a good one to pick up. It doesn't necessarily feel any weaker than Grixis Delver at all. Like, your flex slots from Grixis Delver have just become Questing Druids. Like, the one thing that's kind of annoying is not being able to kill some big things when they land. So an opposing Murktide or a big Questing Druid on the other side, you end up having to bounce them, which can become awkward. I wouldn't mind seeing another way of blowing some big creatures up. We are in black, so we could run something as like a Shoulder's Edict, but again, that's situational a little bit. We could even run something really weird like a Shriekmaw, if those are the problem creatures you're worried about. I know that sounds absolutely wild, but it's a creature, so it can help you with your Delirium, because you can just evoke it and put it in the bin. But again, it doesn't have black creatures, and we're living in Troll of Khazad-dûm territory, so probably not the best, actually, now I think about it. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. I think Borrower is kind of where you want to be. It seems weird that we're playing... I guess you could play like Terminate even. I think Terminate might be pretty viable. Just a simple destroy target creature. Like, obviously Brazen Borrower is very handy at bouncing weird things like non-creatures and can also beat down. So it definitely is a good card for sure. It just felt like I wanted one more way of being able to... or like an actual way of being able to blow up a big creature. I think some of the other builds that have Mystic Sanctuary as something to lean on are quite interesting to me that we don't get in this build because we've got all the colours. I think little tricks with Mystic Sanctuary can be really potent. But I think this deck is great, and I can understand why it top 8'd the Legacy Showcase Challenge. It's just doing all the things Tempo wants to do, but it has a nice little sort of mid to late game. Like you saw that game where we always had loads of spells to cast in turn 16 even, because of Questing Druid just drawing us cards over and over again. So I think this deck is pretty tasty, and obviously these aren't actually card draws, so they don't trigger things like Bowmasters or Sholdred. So that's really handy too. I'm not sure how good a creature Questing Druid is. I think a lot of the times when you get it down, any creature's probably going to be good in the spots where it's good, but occasionally, very rarely, like we saw, we can end up with a really big guy. But that was obviously a pretty unusual game, that one. That's certainly not the norm. Normally we're just kind of drawing 2 cards with this, and sometimes there's a 1/1 on the back end. But sometimes when we're drawing 2 cards, we're not actually drawing 2 cards. We had a turn where we draw 0 cards off of it, and we've had turns where we've drawn 2. So it's kind of, the floor on that card is very low, but ceiling is very high. It's a case of where the middle ground is, and I'm not 100% sure where that is. I know a few people are off of the Questing Druid now, and they're not really liking it, but I know a lot of other people are still very high on it. So I think it needs more numbers, more playtesting, and then I'm sure Wizards will print another silly thing that we play in that slot instead, and then we just go to town with it. All right, I think I'm done for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry about the little interruption. I guess I'd probably edit that out anyway, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I definitely played a little bit rushed when I came back from my internet going down. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Become a YouTube member. Throw me a little bit of money here and there. Helps if you are able to and want to. But watching the content and sharing the content and just enjoying Legacy is the most important thing. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.